All right, welcome to Career Development's Resume Writing Workshop. My name is Luke Smith, and I am Work-Based Learning Manager. And this is something we do all the time, is help students get their resume that is in the process or ready to go apply for internships or their next job. So we're going to go through some general tips and practices for you, as well as hit on some of the things that the career development team does. And hopefully by the end of this, you guys have a resume that you're proud of and ready to go. You can always send it to our office to get a second pair of eyes to look at it and give you notes and then schedule a practice interview as well. All right, so we're looking here at first off, starting with what we do in career development. We handle all the on and off campus job placements. Of course, many students go through our office to try and find that initial placement. So we'd love to help you do that and navigate our job board, which is called Handshake. And so we use the same job platform that UT does and other schools around here. And it's a great place to find your internship opportunity or your first employment after school. We do career and internship fairs, career assessments. So U-Science is a big part of what we do, helping students find what they want to do, where they're interested in working, that kind of thing. But also U-Science is very helpful for your resume. There's a hard part about the resume, which is knowing how to summarize yourself and the skills and qualities of yourself that make you marketable. And U-Science does a great job of helping you find those words and descriptions. So if you want to talk more about that, please make an appointment. We'd love to share that with you. I did mention mock interviews already. Yeah, we'd love to schedule a mock interview with you to help you get ready for that first step into your next dream job. Also, along the same lines, if you're going to if you're going to a real interview and you aren't sure you have what it takes, as far as your outfit goes, or you're like you haven't bought a shirt and tie in years and time to update, well, come over here to the career closet at each campus now and pick it out. It's all free. Pick out your suit and tie and all that stuff. Join us for our workshops and events. You can find those on Handshake now, or sometimes they're in your class, probably like this one. And resume and cover letter assistance. Here's a workshop to get us started, but if you want more catered help with your specific resume, please make an appointment. We are always making different work-based learning experiences accessible to you through Handshake and through some of our other programs, Earn and Learn, internship connections. And so please reach out if you want to know more about that. And then lastly, transfer coordination. Many of our students are transferring to a four-year school. So we'd like to help you meet the right people and take the right steps to get that transfer process started. So you can find us on Navigate. So schedule an appointment. All right, what is a resume? Many of you, this is a very you're used to this. You've done this before. You've made many resumes, whether you're just starting or you've been out of high school for a minute. But if you're kind of new to it, a resume is really just a document to help you get get in the door. Pretty much it's your document to get in the door and interview. You're going to try and put as much information in the right way on this paper. And it's never going to be a complete picture of who you are. So that's why, being, prepared for that interview is going to be helpful, because you need to, supplement that resume with who you really are and that, that full picture of yourself. But you may never get that interview, sadly, if your resume is just not up to snuff. So let's focus enough on the resume to get it at least industry standard for what they're expecting. And then from there, let your personality, let your, who you are take over. Yeah, so it is a formal document. It displays your individual, your professional background and experience. What does it mean for it to be a professional document? Well, a formal document. It is a legal document. It can determine your pay, and if you lie in your resume, you can be fired. So I'm not saying that to try and, intimidate you, but it should just be, a basic understanding that it's a truthful document, that you put your real skills and experience. But how you communicate that, what you put on there, like how you organize it, the words you choose to describe what you've done, yeah, that can be, kind of you can use some crafty words to get the truth that looks just right. All right. So what's the purpose? Yeah, it is to sell yourself, right? It's to get that interview. You're gonna show your qualifications and you're gonna introduce yourself. But I like to think of it even more than that. It's a way to reflect back on the things you're proud of, the things that you've done. And once you get that interview, it is a cheat sheet for you too, to talk about your stories of what you're excited, what you're passionate about, what you've done, and how that your experience, what you are, what you've done has prepared you for whatever you're trying to do in the future. All right, when do you need to start working on your resume? Well, you start today because you're always going to be adding to it. You're always, whether you're taking a new class, you got a new certification, you're in a new school, you've done some kind of new experience that you would like to reflect on and talk about in the future. You're proud of this. Maybe you've done a class presentation or you've led a project. Well, that's a great way to think about your resume as a living document. Add that on there so that, maybe it's not going to be the worst thing in the world if you're graduating your resume after you've added all this year's worth of experience is 5 pages, and now you need to go back and take things out. Well, that's much easier to do than trying to figure out what have I done for the past 2 years even. That's going to be hard to remember all the little things, but if you start building it today and you submit it for different opportunities because it's ready to go, and maybe the deadline is today, because sometimes I send out job opportunities that are, hey, this is a brand new opportunity that I learned about, but it's a great opportunity. Sorry, the deadline is today. So if you're ready to go, meaning your resume is ready to go, send it in. And if yours is ready, you could be that person, and maybe you're getting a NASA internship or the city of Knoxville internship, or that part-time job that really is a secret, entry into the career that you want to do. So yeah, begin today. All right, here's some things to remember. It's a long list here. We'll go through it in detail. So an employer is only going to spend 6 to 7 seconds looking at your resume. Think about this. This person that's reviewing resumes is a real person, and this is maybe just part of their job, and they didn't schedule all day to look at resumes. In fact, or maybe they did, maybe they had 2 hours blocked off to review the 30 to 40 applicants for this job. And they thought, well, I'm good at this. I've done this a lot. I know what I'm looking for. And then somebody calls and says, hey, your kid is sick and you got to go pick your kid up at school. So this person who's reviewing resumes now has to rush through, and used to have 2 hours, now has 1 hour, and it's due today. And this is a real life situation because, this is a real person reviewing your resume, right? And that you never know what context it is that they're going to be looking at that. But that may mean that they only give every resume 6 to 7 seconds worth of, their consideration. So what can you do to make sure that you're not discounting yourself? Because they're taking 40 resumes, right? And what are they trying to do? They're trying to eliminate 39 of those, right? Or at least 35 of those, and then schedule the interviews for the last few. They're not going to schedule 40 interviews. So they're trying to eliminate. Their job now is to eliminate, to find errors, find mistakes, find irrelevant experience. And you don't want to give them any reason to count yours out, to discredit yours. So hopefully the things I share today will help. Keep it simple, easy to read, no paragraphs. We'll talk more about that. Do not put irrelevant information. because that's going to be, with 6 to 7 seconds, that maybe the one sentence they read that doesn't matter at all. So you don't want to put anything in there that doesn't really pertain to the job. You can make different resumes for different jobs, and you should be consistent in format. That's key, right? Because they're looking for someone who is paying attention to detail. Every job is looking for someone who's going to pay attention to the little details. And if your resume looks like it's formatted incorrectly or sloppy, means that you didn't really give it much consideration. This is something that you could spend lots of time, weeks getting ready for it now, with getting lots of eyes on it, and then it's ready to go. You just submit. Yeah. So, if you're just submitting lots of documents that aren't really up to snuff, then you may not be getting the calls back that you're expecting, or that your experience shows. All right, yeah, we'll talk about more about transferable or soft skills, but that's going to be very important. Those hard skills, right, are the ones that are those certificates or that specific training on that machine or that program, or this method for phlebotomy, whatever it is you're learning, you're trying to do. You are going to have those hard skills. But the soft skills or the transferable skills are the ones that are like time management, dependability, integrity. Those things are the ones that are going to be useful, and they're going to go from one job and transfer to the next job, and one career or one context like school to the context of work. We'll talk more about that. These are very important. Use action verbs. You can actually Google a list of resume action verbs, and I recommend doing that because you want to vary some of those words and not saying the same thing. All that, every bullet point on your resume, because you're going to use bullet points. But yeah, I'll show you what that means in a second. Yeah, follow directions from the employer. Number 7. Every employer or every job posting is going to ask for specific processes on how to apply. You got to follow those processes, whether it's don't reach out, don't contact with questions, or if it's make sure you submit a cover letter. You got to do everything that they say, otherwise they're again looking to eliminate, and those people that aren't doing the right steps are going to be eliminated. You don't want that to be you. So yeah, personal social media sites. That includes your email address. What I mean by that is when you put your email address on your resume, it needs to be appropriate and very boring. I recommend a boring email address. If you don't have a boring email address, something that is just like your name and some numbers or something like that, then go make one. It's free. And then your social media, whether that's LinkedIn or really whether it's your Instagram and Snapchat and all that stuff, your employers are going to check. They're going to Google your name. Have you Googled your name? What's going to be out there? If you can erase anything you're not proud of out there, do that. If you can't, be prepared to have an answer for it. Talk to career development or somebody about how to talk about these things, because chances are it might come up if it's out there and it's discoverable, right? And then, like I said already, you're going to make different resumes for the different jobs you apply for. All right. You have different formats you could use, chronological or functional. So I like, they both look pretty good. You want that name nice and big, but I personally like the ones with the columns. You can fit a lot more information on there. But, this chronological, it suits a purpose too. And we'll talk about that in a second. All right. So here's the parts of a resume. Oh gosh. Let me fix this for you. All right. So you're going to have your name and contact information. Believe it or not, that's the most important part, right? If your phone number or email address is incorrect, you may have a great resume and you'll never know it, because they're going to be emailing you and calling you, and you'll never get it because you're not your right number. So make sure it's a professional email address and the right phone number. And then you make sure your voicemail is set up and not full, and you have a professional voicemail, not one of those voicemails that says, "Hey, what's up? Long pause. Oh yeah, this is my voicemail. You've all seen those, right? And heard those, and it's not professional because yeah, it just kind of sometimes irritates people. And that's probably the right why you did it, but don't do that when you're trying to get a job, okay? All right, you got your education and experience. So depending on where your strengths lie, you may put your education first or your experience first, um, or depending on the job you're applying to. You got special skills and then any other relevant experience. I've seen volunteer experience down there or other classes taken, things like that. You can put that on your resume. All right, so you could also put a link to your LinkedIn profile on there. Just make sure that if you do that, your LinkedIn profile is ready to go, that you're proud of it, that you have somebody look at it. You can put your city and state on there, but you do not need to put your actual full address with your number on it. You don't need people looking up your KGIS report or anything like that. And then I should have mentioned here some like graphic design job. It's worthwhile to put a portfolio link on there. So, or if you're applying for something like a website developer or something like that, and you've done this work already, you want to show those with permission if you can. Show those projects you've done either for class or for other places of employment. You can put that link on your website. It's a good thing to do. Yeah, so this first part, the professional summary and objective is actually, and I think it's probably the hardest part because you're summarizing yourself in a few sentences, not full sentences like I am a person who, not like that, but sentences like this one down here in this blocks. In this box, it says top performing customer service representative with extensive experience. So you see how that's a shortened, that's an action verb right there. Top performing customer service representative with extensive experience assisting customers. Okay. That's the kind of thing you want to put on your profile summary. And you're kind of summarizing your qualities, your attributes that are professional, that you're proud of, how you contribute to a team, what you've done, and what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go. So that can take some work. Use science can be helpful with this part. All right. Yeah, education, you're doing most recent first with everything on here. Job and education, you're doing most recent first. And then you're doing the name of the college with underneath that, the name of the degree. Applied science or your associates of science and your major and date of diploma received, or if you haven't graduated yet, which most likely you're still in school, your expected graduation date. It could change, but this is what you expect. Your concentration, if that's applicable. GPA is not required, especially if you're still working on it. You just put that on there. But if you have a great GPA and you're, you're trying to showcase that, definitely put that on there. It's not going to hurt. All right, let's fix this. All right. All right. So you've got your experience, which is going to be very similar, but you're going to put your most recent first, your name of the employer, just like you did name of the school, bigger than your job title. Well, this one is name of the employer, and then you can do job title and city and state, or name of the employer, city and state. Just make sure it's up there on the top, and then the dates that you were employed. If you have multiple positions in one company, that's why it's really important to put that job, the name of the employer first, and then a couple different positions and when you worked in those positions. Maybe that could show how you progressed, how you advanced. And then any achievements and accomplishments. You're going to bullet point these things. All right, special skills, your certifications, technical skills, management. If you ever managed anybody, no matter where it was, put that on there because that is often how people get promoted is by having management experience. So if you have that opportunity, take that opportunity to get some management experience. Okay. Military, you are going to have a lot of information to put on. If you're active duty military or you've served, my dad's retired Navy, my brother served, my grandfather's, their resumes are all packed with all of the the military does a great job of packing you full of different trainings, accreditations or awards, credentials, and then different jobs you've done. So you're probably going to have to work on condensing it down rather than finding enough things to put in there. That's my guess. But yeah, your security clearance could be very helpful. Your highest rank, of course, and the dates. All right. Sorry about this, everybody. All right. So anything else that's relevant on there would be internships, athletics, international study, professional clubs. Yeah, all of these things. If it shows leadership, if it shows initiative, if it shows some of those transferable skills you're trying to get across about teamwork, dependability, integrity, yeah, that's great to put on there. Here's a note down here at the bottom. It says languages. You're going to want to put a language on here only if you're comfortable enough speaking it proficiently, right? If you studied it for a year, but you basically don't know how to read it or speak it, but you've studied it, do not include that on here. If all you speak is English, don't put that on there because it's assumed you speak English when your resume is submitted in English and there's no other language listed. So yeah, languages are for maybe you have 2 or 3 different languages, then you could put proficient or fluent next to them or intermediate. You could put those on there and it shows kind of your level. If it's basic, I just wouldn't bother about putting it on there because you put a language on there that's basic and or maybe you don't say it's basic, but you just put like I lived in Korea, and if I put Korean on my on my resume and then somebody starts speaking to me in Korean in my interview, I would suffer because my Korean is so basic that I could basically like order from order at a restaurant or tell a taxi where to go, which isn't exactly helpful in a job interview. All right, references. You don't even have to say, anything about your references. You will need references, but on your resume, you just don't include that part. Gather your resumes on a separate piece of paper and make sure they're good resumes that you're going to say nothing but positive things, not even a single negative thing about you, and professional, meaning no neighbors, no friends, no relatives. They need to be somebody that, knows you in a professional setting, whether it's school or work. So school could be a teacher. It could be a TA or a mentor. Or if it's work, then, a boss would be great. Previous boss who's going to say nothing but good things. And then, maybe some colleagues that you've worked with. Think about the most professional people in your organizations and then ask them to be your references, but also are going to say good things, right? All right. Personal information. If you have a hobby that is extremely relevant to your job that you're applying to, put it on there. Definitely show that you've done this outside of, paid experience. But if it's not relevant to your job you're applying to, don't confuse people. Don't put any unnecessary information. It may be the only thing they remember. And then suddenly, that's like, no, that all they've got is bowling experience. And this position has nothing to do with bowling. I don't know who's going to put bowling on their resume, but you never know. Yeah, nothing about your marital status, age, or sex, or anything like that. All right, here's a college student example. Career objective, you can see that over there. Education is first, okay, and then you can put relevant coursework, any sort of like dean's list or credentials there. Experience, any volunteer down there. Maybe you've got relevant skills that you've learned in class, like research, time management. If you have something like time management, I would definitely be prepared to expound on that in an interview, like a story that you maybe had a lot of things due at once and how you managed those different tasks. Okay, this is not mine. It's Deanna French's, but we all would be happy to help you with that, with getting your resume ready to go. And there goes my light. So that's it. Please reach out with any questions and hope this recording is good for you.